right, so we're working on this L83 engine in the C10 frame. So what we did was we have our Dirty Dingo two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, and we're actually doing it as a conversion because this was a C10, we're changing it to a four-wheel drive. Now, given that this particular mount from Dirty Dingo requires that we change out the oil pan on our L83, because if we don't change out the oil pan, it just won't work, it won't fit. So we've done that, we've gotten our oil pan out. You'll notice it is right here. So this oil pan's got a lot of other stuff going on. Not your typical oil pan when it comes to, you know, the old small block Chevys. There's a lot of stuff in here that we're gonna have to take apart, see how it works. You can buy the Holley kit. Holley kit is so much more expensive. I think this is roughly $200. The Holley one's like $450 to $500. From what I understand and what I hear online, it literally has the same casting marks. So whoever is making them is also selling them on the side. I'm not sure. There are a ton of bolts you got to get off all the way across here. You got bolts like this, for example. They go all the way across in this section right here. You've got these really tall bolts here. They go in the back. They go up under here. I don't know why they chose to do it that way, but they did. You got these bolts on the side here. These bolts go in the transmission and into your oil pan. So there are a variety of bolts, and we tend to lay them all out right here so that we know where they go and where they should go afterwards. So I'm not sure if our new oil pan has a bolt set that comes with it, but we're just gonna keep everything we got. And then I'll come over here and show you a little bit about what we're doing, because we are testing our new oil pan out. I was told, and I've never done this before, but I was told it'd be a great thing to test it out with some water beforehand. So we put some water in it here, and it is aluminum, so obviously won't rust. But the goal here is just to check to see, leave it overnight, see if the casting had any problems at all. It really shouldn't. Investment casting is pretty foolproof, but you never know, it came from China, so we wanna make sure it's good before we put it on our engine. And instead of using, there are some engine gaskets available for the L83. I asked some people about them. They said just go with the standard GM AC Delco RTV engine sealant, which is what we did. So we're gonna put that on there instead of doing the gasket. You will need to get for the L83 the dipstick, different change in the dipstick, because the other one will not work with that new oil pan. And also the dipstick tube, which has not arrived yet. It'll be here in a little while. So overall, if you go with the generic brand instead of the name brand, you're gonna save yourself some money. But the dipstick was like 60 bucks and the tube was like 30. So you end up having to buy that stuff anyway as well. Does not come with the Holley kit from what I understand, but it might. So we're gonna get this engine put back together, see if we can't get it mounted here pretty soon. Dirty Dingo is sending us our other engine mounts because we got a different set for the LS, not for the LT engine. And so we'll be changing that out. All right, looking forward to it. All right, so we're back and it's the next day. We're gonna check to see if this knockoff version of the oil pan leaked or not. So let's take a quick look. Still full of water. And it looks like we're even right at the same line that we left it at. So overall, looks like it's holding water, so it's good to go. And we will get this thing put in our engine probably later today or tomorrow. We'll have to see. This is the factory oil pan. Comes with a bunch of other things that the Holley style oil pan, low profile, does not contain. It does not have a Boss for oil temperature sensor. It is a lot deeper, as you can tell. I took the panel off, and you'll notice on this one, we already just installed it. Sorry, I didn't think about videoing at the moment. But everything pretty much matches it up almost exactly. This is a knockoff version. This one I got for about $200 off Amazon. Pretty good reviews overall. The only thing I would change on here is, and I'll show you some pictures, is that there was not a thread spacer essentially for this last bolt. So only one of them didn't fit, that right there. So I'm not sure exactly why, but anyway, so I don't know if I'm gonna need to get just a bigger bolt and stick it in there, or perhaps just go without. I mean, it doesn't do a whole lot. They're torqued to 10 pounds, so they're not holding anything in necessarily. They're just all for flow. So I'm hoping that I don't need to do that. But overall, you'll notice that the two are very different, and this is quite a bit more low profile. So we're gonna get this installed. Overall, pretty easy. Just look up the Holley instructions and you can make sure that you get exactly the same thing. For the most part, everything is exactly the same as the Holley. There are no locator pins, but they did give you a locator rubber piece here, and that sticks up inside one of the bolt holes so you can locate it. But the problem is there's only one of them, so I don't know what you do, because it'd be better to have two, obviously. I'm gonna see about potentially removing these locator pins right here, and if I can, I'll put them into the locator pin holes on this. The mock-up one does, the knockoff one does have it. So we'll see how it goes and go from there. Notice it is quite a bit more low profile here. It comes down and then sinks down very quickly. That's so it can fit in the cross member. And really easy setup overall. Instructions were really good. We actually used the Holley instructions because our instructions, there were none for our version. But then we went ahead and installed it. Pretty easy to do. You do have to torque them up in a very specific pattern. We used the gray RTV directly from AC Delco. We were told that was the best. We're gonna see if it leaks or not. Had a couple burrs that we had to get out. One was on the actual oil pan itself, and the other one was on the block. But we just took some 2000 grit sandpaper and WD-40, got those out, and now it was nice and smooth to put the RTV down. So it looks really nice. Overall, we do have to torque down this right here, and it's at 40 foot-pounds of torque, but I don't have a socket big enough, so we're gonna have to figure out how to do that. Maybe go buy a socket. So when I'm trying to save some money and I didn't want a whole bunch of brackets sticking off this thing, we went ahead and put on an LSX Innovation power steering pump bracket. This power steering pump bracket comes with your idler pulley, comes with this mount here, and then it comes with your block off plate as well for the vacuum pump. So the one thing that I'm a little concerned about though is that our Dirty Dingo mounts are allowed to slide, you'll notice on here, but they do hit right here in the event that I want to slide it a little further forward and push the engine a little further in one direction or the other. But given the fact that I'm not too sure how this is all going to go anyway, I got to make sure that it all fits, and we'll see how it goes. My biggest concern is that when I get it in, I'll have not enough space here for my radiator. I potentially need to move things around a little bit, and I won't have the opportunity to do that. Or I'll have my hump in the back here on this side for my, oh, there it is right there. I have this hump right here, and then it won't fit in very well. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to slide things around. So hopefully I'll have enough room to slide. So obviously when you own a tractor, you have to use the tractor because an engine hoist just isn't gonna cut it. Plus, it's a lot easier to raise up and down and do minute adjustments, both in the front and the back, which is awesome. So during the install, we found that our power steering pump pulley kept hitting the frame, so we had to remove the whole assembly, which then allowed us to pop it into place. Unfortunately, then we found that by doing that, the header flange was making it too low, so we had to remove the headers as well. But once we got both of those off, everything sat in nice and pretty, and we were able to put the power steering pump back on. All right, so we got our Speed Engineering headers in. Now I will say, great product overall, but the steel gaskets they give you don't really line up with the holes. I don't know why, because I was in manufacturing and there's really no excuse for it. You know where the holes are. You should be able to stamp them and punch everything accordingly, but some of these bolts right here, the ones, you gotta kind of wiggle them in, and you don't know if they're getting cross-threaded or not, so it's kind of difficult, but overall, went really well, looks great. This dipstick though, which goes with the low profile oil pan down there, this dipstick is gonna have to be modified a little bit because we can't get it to fit. Just gonna have to bend it, I guess. So anyway, looking good.